Okay, so now we're going to use the arrow notation for this example. It says use arrow notation to describe the end behavior. So that means when x is approaching infinity and x is approaching negative infinity. What's happening on the ends? And then the local behavior, that's everything in between. Okay, so if anything's going on in between the end behavior, then we need to describe that. Okay? All right, so let's look at this graph. First of all, we have a vertical asymptote. And sometimes they'll ask, hey, what's the vertical asymptote? And you write that as an equation, x equals, in this case, 2. So if they ask us what the asymptotes are, and sometimes they do, that's how you write a vertical asymptote. It's going to be x equals. And we also have a horizontal asymptote. It's that dotted kind of greenish line. Horizontal asymptote. And that's at y equals, looks like 4. Okay? Now, this didn't ask us to state the asymptotes, but in the future they may ask, so I just put that in. Okay, what they want us to use is the arrow notation to describe the end behavior. So what's happening on this end when x is going toward negative infinity? When x is going toward negative infinity, what's f of x doing? Well, it's getting closer and closer to that horizontal asymptote, which is 4. So f of x is approaching 4, an output of 4. Okay? What happens on this end when x is going toward infinity? Well, it's also getting closer and closer to that horizontal asymptote. So f of x is approaching 4. Okay. Now, what's happening when in between? Now, this is the end behavior. What happens in between that? Is there's some stuff going on, right? As we get closer and closer to the vertical asymptote from the left, the graph is going down, right? So as x approaches 2 from the left, okay? So that vertical asymptote is at 2. So as x is getting closer and closer to 2, f of x is going toward negative infinity, right? It's going off down this way, okay? Now we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to go from the right. So as x is approaching 2 from the right, f of x is approaching. Now, when we come from the right, it's going up this way. So it's approaching positive infinity. This would be the local behavior. Okay? All right, so the answer's right here. That's the arrow notation. There's a little bit more in the book if you want to look at that. I don't know how much we're going to do of this. I don't remember doing a lot of arrow notation, but you'll use it next semester too. So, that's how it works.